Buckle up, it's gonna be a bumpy ride today, but in a good way. Number 10 on the list, the most trendy comic books of the week is Aliens Earth War, issue number 1 from 1990. This is the third limited series of the Xenomorphs. We also have an increase of copies sold of 155%. This is a gorgeous John Bolton cover that doesn't get any love.
A lot of these Alien books from Dark Horse don't get as much love as they deserve anyway. The covers are fantastic, and really, if you're a fan of anything Alien, if you love your Xenomorphs, really, some of the covers by John Bolton and Dave Dorman are absolutely unmatched.
Alien Earth is coming to Hulu. We're going to see aliens take over and cause a ruckus on planet Earth, which is why this book on the list is spiking. We got a 43-second teaser trailer earlier this month, a camera shot from the perspective of a face hugger. And over at South by Southwest, the festival, there was actually a reproduction of a ship that crashed in the Alien universe that you could walk through and experience. How cool is that?
This is so cool, and I love these immersive type experiences because a lot of people weren't alive in 1979 to watch the original movie. So the fact that we are still doing more Alien style things now, it's really just a testament to how long-standing this property is. The poster on the side of the building is so cool because a lot of time you end up seeing that Alien movie poster and it's an egg that's cracking. Well, the egg is Earth. I'm really excited for the show because it actually takes place 70 years in the future, which is 30 years before the first movie. So we're seeing a prequel, but we're actually going to see more of the aliens in action and what happens when they end up in a vessel that has crash landed on Earth.
We're going to spike a comic book right now. I'm calling it. Aliens 1 in 1988 May. That's like the big key to own, especially in high grade. That's the first appearance of aliens in a comic book. But it's not the first time we saw aliens or the xenomorph featured in a comic book size collectible. 1 month prior, in April, Amazing Heroes 139. You get a preview of Aliens 1, but look at this cover. And seldomly do we have a true first appearance that puts the key significance right there, slab worthy for the collector.
And not to be outdone, we have a black and white alien on the front, and on the back cover, it's actually a color version of Aliens #1 from Dark Horse that will be coming out the next month. I know that Heavy Metal did release magazine size back in 1979, but I really think this Amazing Heroes number 139, that's going to be the sleeper key.
If you're looking for some other alien keys, take a look at Dark Horse Presents 24. This is the origin of the xenomorphs, but more importantly, you may want to just pick up not 1, not 2, but 4 copies of Dark Horse Presents 36. Yes, I said it. Buy 4 copies if you're a fan.
Aliens versus Predator in comic books. How much better could this be? I'm about to tell you. When you have the main cover, you can get cover A, which is blue, which is a comic book style, and cover B, which is this Dave Dorman painted cover, red and orange. But wait, there's more. If you flip both of these around, you get the other cover in a 25% larger no trade dress style. So on the back of cover A, you get this Dave Dorman painted cover. On the back of cover B, you get this blue comic book style cover. The only way to display all 4 of these arts, trade dress, no trade dress, comic book drawn, and Dave Dorman painted, buy 4 copies. You're welcome.
Number 9 on the list is Alias #1 from 2001. $75 average sales, $175 for CGC 9.8, and 150% increase in copies sold after Daredevil Episode 3 of Born Again. No surprise to see this book here because there's some Easter eggs for the Defenders. But more importantly, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 began filming over this last week, and Kristen Ritter was seen in New York at the same time, which is suspicious. But when you also consider the fact that she is slated to be featured in Dexter Resurrection, also filming in the same area, it may just be happenstance. We're also seeing Marvel Premiere 15 make the trending 20 first appearance of Iron Fist, and I think that speaks loudly for the excitement of the Defenders because most people don't care for Danny Rand's portrayal from the Netflix days. You gotta keep up with all the comic books we talk about. There's a lot of trending books. In fact, there's 10 others that we're not going to talk about on this list this week, and they're featured on Key Collector Comics. The larger list we source these books from, the trending 20. Use code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription of the app, but do yourself a solid. It's going to up your comic book hunt and your collecting game overall.
Spoiler warning, because a lot of the things we talk about have to do with stuff that was released in the last week. Daredevil Born Again is making these books move. Number 8 on the list is no exception, and we are talking about Punisher number 13, a $15 average sale and $95 for CGC 9.8 for this recent book that was released back in just 2019.
An increase of copies sold of 233%. This is the issue where corrupt cops start to take on the emblem of the Punisher to commit crimes, and then Punisher has to put a stop to it. Well, after episode 3, we're clearly seeing this set up as part of the narrative for the season. So, spoiler heavy show today, but this was a rumor that started circulating back in January 2024. So we kind of expected to see something loosely adapted from this comic book hit the screen. As it pertains to a cool book to own if you like the show, sure, go ahead and buy it for your PC. But I'm not a big fan of investing in, especially long-term, story-based key significant comic books.
Number 7 on the list, Amazing Spider-Man number 194. This is a major key featuring the first appearance of Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, a sometimes on-again, off-again love interest of Peter Parker. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. $350 average sales, $200 for CGC 9.8. And we are seeing a 129% increase in copies sold this week because we have news that Sadie Sink, who you would remember from running up that hill a whole lot in Stranger Things, is supposed to be a love interest of Tom Holland in the upcoming Spider-Man movie.
We're seeing an increase of copies sold of, shout out Frank Castle, 129%. Yo, where are you finding 9/8 of this for $200? $2,000 9.8 recent sale. I wish it was $200.
Zero.
But here's the thing. Who is she going to be? Because we already have MJ, and she would be a perfect MJ with that hair and everything, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while people are still kind of spinning that rumor mill of, is she going to be a love interest? It would make sense because we know after everyone's memory kind of got blipped away, we're really not going to see Zendaya as his love interest in this movie. And she, as Black Cat, Felicia Hardy, would make a perfect casting.
Spider-Man 4 begins filming at the end of the year. I expect that we're going to see a lot of spec happening as more casting announcements gets made, but we do not know who she's going to be in film just yet. What we do know is she's going to film The Odyssey first, which will then make her available at the end of the year to join the screen with Tom Holland. If you like the videos we make, join the mystery mail call, 1 per box. To every single member, we're sending out an Amazing Spider-Man number 1 John Boy Myers variant. It's glorious, and this right here is an homage to the classic Punisher, second full appearance of ASM 135. ComicTom.com to join the mystery mail call. Support the channel. Let's move on to number 6 on the list with Invincible Returns, issue number 1. What a glorious fight that just took place in this animation.
Light spoiler warning, this last episode from season 3 of Invincible did in fact have Jeffrey Dean Morgan after rumor mill happened and wasn't quite the character we thought he was going to be. He showed up as Conquest, had an amazing fight with Mark, who is aptly played by Steven Yeun, who you would know as Glenn from Walking Dead. It's a great reunion.
We've been waiting so long to see Steven Yeun go up against Jeffrey Dean Morgan again, and this was a more evenly matched fight. No baseball bat.
Right.
The spec has largely been that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was going to portray Thrag after he posted over a year ago of him holding Invincible Omnis, was it, in an Instagram photo? So he was coming, but we didn't know who he was going to be. Well, in an interview, Robert Kirkman actually said that Conquest will be featured in season 4. So there's going to be more Jeffrey Dean Morgan, of course, but that Thrag was coming, and he is, quote, cast and will be amazing.
So while that sounds like a bit of a double fake, this is the reason why we're seeing the first appearance of Grand Regent Thrag on the list and a 467% increase in copies sold.
We have an announcement to give away a signed Mark Spears Monsters at the end of the video, and I got another one on deck, so stay tuned. Number 5 on the list is Punisher War Journal, issue number 6. This is the first time Punisher, Frank Castle, goes up against Wolverine, and they got none other than Jim Lee to do this cover back in 1989, before he was like the major superstar celebrity comic artist that we know him to be today.
We're reporting $20 average sales and $90 for a CGC 9.8. And if you're picking up number 6, you might as well get number 7 because it is a 2-part series. Jim Lee did both of these covers. Now, on the trending list, we also do see Punisher War Journal number 1, But number 6 and 7 seem to be getting the love mainly because these Jim Lee covers are incredible, and the fact that Punisher is fighting Wolverine is a major, major event in Marvel history. Now, that being said, we have the Punisher big special coming up, and people are talking about the potential of it being called Punisher War Journal.
An increase in copies sold of 267%. It would make sense that they would call this special Punisher War Journal, especially because John Bernthal's part of the production and has been saying in multiple interviews, he's going to give us the Punisher we want. Unhinged madness. And I also find it intriguing that if we're looking at Punisher War Journal to look at as a collectible, that issue 6 is always going to outperform issue number 1. We'll probably see issue 6 take off, despite the fact that Wolverine is very unlikely to show up in this special.
More spoiler warnings, and by this point, if you haven't already just paused the video to go watch the latest episode of Daredevil Born Again, just do it. Number 4 on the list, a book that we've been talking about multiple times over the past couple years, Spectacular Spider-Man number 9, first appearance of Hector Ayala, the White Tiger.
$45 average sales, $207 for a CGC 9.8, the first Spanish descent Marvel superhero. And yeah, we get him a lot in the early episodes of Daredevil. This is like as spoiler as we have to get with a comic book, because if people decide to buy this book before watching the episode, they're going to be pissed at us. So we gave you fair warning, but we expected this pretty much this entire time, that White Tiger wasn't going to survive this season, and he doesn't. At the end of episode 3, he does get killed by someone who looks like the Punisher, even though we don't believe it to be so. Take a look at the other coverage that we just did on the other Punisher book on the list. So Hector Ayala doesn't make it, but in his final moments in the courtroom, they do mention that he's been living, him and his wife, with his sister and his niece, and they show his niece, they give her screen time, which indicates that that amulet will likely be passed down. There is another White Tiger in the comic books.
This is one of those great characters that has multiple iterations, so after his untimely passing, there is a great chance that we are going to see his niece, Angela Del Toro, pick up the mantle. And the appearance that people have been talking about is White Tiger number 1 from 2007. That book has been on Spec Writer for a couple years now as well.
It's a glorious cover on a very affordable book. And I will say they did White Tiger dirty at the end of this episode, but wow, his time on the screen, in the courtroom, all the fighting scenes, they really did this character justice.
Not a lot of DC books on the list this week, but this one is very deserving. Number 3, Batman 608, which is the incredible Jim Lee kickoff of the 12-part Hush series. This book, we are reporting $20 average sales and $115 for CGC 9.8. This is a 139% increase in copies sold this week on the news that the sequel to Hush has been solicited in the new series of Batman number 158. 400,000 copies are being reported as pre-sold. There is a lot of buzz about this book.
Chip Zdarsky is finishing up his run, and then we have a reprisal of Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb teaming up to do a sequel to Hush. And what's the synopsis? It's under wraps, just like Hush is. There is no news about what we're getting, and the anticipation is high for this comic book.
Jim Lee's been doing cover art for near 40 years now, and you can select a lot of great covers that he's done, but this is one that people keep coming back to again and again. This Batman cover is a must-own.
We gotta give some special shout-outs here. J. Scott Campbell killed it on his cover for Hush. You don't just have Batman. You don't just have Hush. You got the sirens there. You know, you got Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and Harley Quinn, Superman in the background. Beautiful. And then you got that 1 in 25 Lee Bermejo. It makes sense why stores are ordering so many damn copies. Number 2 on the list is Invincible number 1, the first appearance of Mark, Omni-Man. We're seeing $1,000 average sales, but more importantly, this last week, a $4,500 sale for a CGC 9.8. Now, if you look at GPA at this comic book, yeah, heights of like $6,000. Comic boom stuff, right? But surrounding sales were not $6,000. It was like $4,500 at best, most often. Well, seeing a $4,500 sale take place when this comic has been typically trending around the $3,500 marker at a 9.8 just indicates to me that this is one of the strongest performing key books of the modern era post-comic boom.
It's a 314% increase in copies sold this week, and Sure, this is being driven by Invincible Season 3, but this book has had staying power. If you look at how many copies are on the census, if you look at how often it changes hands, it really has been solid. There are so many major keys in the last 5 or 6 years that spiked so hard during the comic boom and have just crashed. They're at 75% of a discount from where they were being originally traded. And really, this book is one that has just held its value.
Also interesting is that when we were looking at these prices, we couldn't help but pull up Walking Dead #1, which, yeah, hit heights of like, what was it, $4,000 on average? But the book is trading around $2,500. It would seem like that book tanked. But at the time that that book hit those heights, it was surrounded by $3,000 sales. So yeah, it has dropped a bit from the average of 3,000, but not by much. And that show is long gone as it pertains to the original run. These Kirkman titles are performing strong despite anything.
Considering both of these books were released in 2003, there was about a 15,000 print run on Walking Dead. There was a little over 10,000 on Invincible #1. If you look at about 500 9/8s for Invincible #1 and just over 1,000 9/8s for a Walking Dead, yeah, the price difference makes sense, but really these Kirkman books have an incredible amount of holding power.
We're not getting Invincible Season 4 till at best 2026, but we know it's coming as of the San Diego Comic-Con announcement from last year. If you can get this book under $4,000, I think it's a safe bet. It's not going to drop down that much. It's not like there's going to be a ton of new copies hitting the census with that print count. And it has some of the best staying power that I've seen of any modern age collectible. Like and subscribe. We make this video every single week. Stay tuned. I want to give you a Mark Spears signed comic book. The #1 hottest book in the world. Keanu Reeves, BRZRKR #1, $10 average sales, and you can get this book for $62 for a CGC 9.8. That is a price that's so close to like how much it would cost you to acquire the book, put it in a box, ship it to CGC, and pay for the slab, that if you're looking to like spec, you may want to just buy that 9.8.
A massive 426% increase in copies sold this week because we have Justin Lin, who directed multiple of the Fast and Furious franchises, tied to direct this Keanu Reeves movie. We have talked about BRZRKR multiple times and the fact that Keanu released the book and then it talked about he wanted to do an anime and he wanted to do a movie, all of these things. This is good news. And you know, if you've watched John Wick and you see the high speed, fast type of movies that Keanu wants to be in and wants to make, this one is a fantastic director choice.
The next John Wick movie will be a passing of the torch. We see his daughter taking on the role of assassin. Although Keanu is in the trailer, clearly he is not being set up to have this franchise be led by him, which means we need another warrior Keanu Reeves movie. No better than the IP he created in BRZRKR.
In 2021, when this book came out, there were 600,000 copies sold. There are a bunch of variants out there, including one I did with Rage Theo. Get to hunting. This is a fun book. This is a great read. And really, I think people just need to get more in on this.
Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, as always,
geek responsibly.
Enough said. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you want to be like the winner this week, Jeffrey Farnsworth, check your SMS. We're going to send you a Mark Spears Monsters signed by Mark. Well, all you have to do is go to comictom.com, join our SMS group, and you'll be part of all of our weekly giveaways we do on the show. And this week, we're giving away a Mark Spears Monsters signed by Mark, issue #3 retailer variant. I want to send it to you. Join the group, stay up on all of our drops, and of course, have a great week.